What's up, guys? It's Pop Mom Dad. I'm here with Spiker, aka JS. Right now, you got your whole thing going on
right
online.
now. What's going on, fuckers and fuckettes?
Yes. No swear. I'm kidding. No,
Oh.
you can swear as much as you want.
Fuck. Oh
Nah.
shit. Damn. Oh no.
No, we're good. We're good. So you have a new EP that just came out. I just listened to. We've been friends for as long as I don't even know since as long
Probably
as I graduate.
08, 09, maybe.
Yeah.
Around that time.
About a year after I graduated high school, which is so long. So I want to talk about that first. How did we meet, and how did you get into the music scene through that? Because we met in the music scene.
Oh, absolutely, and mutual friends.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much where I think our friendship started. Would be mutual friends and seeing shows and bumping into each other.
Yeah.
Because of our taste in music, I think that
It was like I didn't meet you at Laga, but I think did you ever go to Laga?
For Punchline shows or something like that, because my brothers are older than me.
Yeah.
So I would tag along with them for those.
And then
type of
Laga
things, so.
unfortunately shut down. We're from
Sad.
Pittsburgh.
Rest in peace. And Metropole. Rest in peace.
Metropole.
Too. A lot of memories.
Club Octane, which is a place in Charleroi near us. We bumped into each other all the time there. I played in bands, and then we had mutual friends in bands who we were there all the time. And I remember the one show you jumped on stage with a band called Meeting in the Static.
Yes.
And our mutual friend, T-Dubs, Todd Waitman, wanted us to meet only because we had heart tattoos.
We both have a mutual love for the band Him.
Yeah. Will Wallow, Vilvallo.
Yes, Willa Wallow.
And that's where kind of that kick started, and that was probably 08, 09.
Yes.
And then from there, you started coming around, I started coming around, and then we started getting into music. But when did you start knowing that you wanted to take it from being the guy that was, okay, I'm going to load people's gear, I'm going to come to shows and hang out, to I want to be on stage and I want to do this one day?
That was... I would say even when we started becoming friends, I think I always had the idea of wanting to do something with music, but at the time we were thinking 08, 09, so technology was different. You had to kind of be in a band.
Right.
You had to find at least 3 or 4 other dudes who are nasty and are into the same thing as you, and go into a garage and try and hammer it out. You know that personally with the amount of projects you've been in.
Or had a shit ton of money.
Right. Or you're like Kanye, and you just sit in your room and you just grind away at something on a cracked version of Fruity Loops. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my brain works in a different way, where I see things in all forms of media. So when I look at bands, or I look around us, like comic books, or I'm a big fan of novels, so the medium in which you consume something, it could be anything. So if I couldn't do things with music with the mates, then maybe I could try and write a comic book, or maybe I could try and write a script for a movie, or get into some form of way to get whatever's in your brain.
You always fucked with
out
art.
there. Always, or writing, because one of my dear friends is an artist, and I think why we are great as friends is he can draw way better than I can, and I can write better than he can. So that kind of dynamic of competition is what, growing up, made that. But the music was always there to an extent of really crappy demos.
Yeah.
And you just keep that on a laptop, and you just don't do anything with it, and you keep playing around with it.
Do you still remember like the first song you ever wrote, and how terrible was it, or how good was it? Because there's also a flip side to that, where you're like, man, I caught lightning in a bottle on something, or was it just total trash?
It was total trash. And then I did stuff with people with rap stuff too.
Yeah,
you have to remember
I
that too. So
that's
like where I was like, can you try anything? And that was garbaggio. But I do have bars. No, but as far as like music, I think the first 3 things I ever made were complete garbage, but the lyrics were great. That's how I always felt about about I painstakingly think about the words, and I think most people think about the music painstakingly.
I'm the same as you.
But that's why this project is great, because I didn't think about the lyrics at all going into it. I thought about the music first, and the lyrics could be secondary.
Yeah, see, my thing, even when I was in the projects that I was in, it was always lyrics trying to get the story out there, where I think that's where you're coming from as well. And then you're like, I'll worry about this later. Even if it's a 3-piece chord Ramones song, I don't care. I want to tell this story.
Exactly.
Whatever it is. Or it can be the most complex Coheed and Cambria-esque type thing.
Great band.
We can, dude, one of my favorites. Your favorites as well. But like, it can be the most complex thing, it can be the most simple thing, but I just want to get the story out there.
Yes.
And that's where I am. I've always been a lyrics person. I still have literally a grocery bag upstairs full of lyrics from high school. I have fucking postulates from
that's a bunch
math
of ammo.
Class. Yeah.
That's ammo. To us, that's ammo. That's ammunition. Those are ideas that you can. I mean, a lot of this goes back to those things. That's why this doesn't sound like trash, but or I mean, it is kind of, but you know what I mean. But the idea is these songs are lyrically, musically pulled from bits and bobs of this kid at 13, 12 and 13. This is a project that I wanted the inner me to see, because I was a huge fan of, we can obviously get into that as well, but like the music that I was influenced by and what it means to me, because comic books, video games, novels, movies, things like that, that's all great, but rock and roll meant a lot to me as a kid. I'm sure it meant, a great deal to you.
Yeah, dude, you came around, you saw the way that, a lot of people out there kind of know the story, but like we had the world at our disposal when it came to music. Our dad was kind of the influence of that.
You had a cave.
We had
a fucking cave.
We had a fucking bat cave that was basically like, and you got accepted, and so many people were accepted and then kicked out and they accepted again, and you were one of them that was down there playing music and stuff with us for ins and outs of that, and so.
Yeah, I bounced around for sure.
Yeah. You definitely get it. So, moving forward, do you remember the moment where you realized from hip hop to whatever this is that you realized, okay, I need to transition over?
I never really wanted to.
Or is it kind of a hybrid right now?
Always been just influenced in my upbringing, like my brothers. The same brother that gave me the Misfits cassette tape is the same brother that gave me 36 Chambers Wu-Tang.
Okay.
So I was raised in this type of household, and I never thought of hip hop for me to do anything on that scale. I always thought of it as, this is another form of music that I love. If I could be around it and that scene, and that requires being a white boy in some precarious situations, but you also learn to be a wordsmith on the fly.
Yeah.
You want to really understand what you see goes in through your eyes and then comes right out onto the page, goes then right back into your eyes, and it comes out of your mouth is great. And you can't fake that. You sometimes have to be around those people and in that scene and see how that works. But no, it was always to just find some new musical inspiration to go into some form of a hybrid of rock and roll. Like, that's my home base. It's like it's just like your safety net. It's my Pittsburgh. It's my East Coast, just rock and roll. You go from there and then you branch out, Yeah,
and we're the Still City. We're hard rock.
I mean, up and down, left and right. What's more metal than a Still City?
Yeah, right. But we also we got our Whizzes, we got our Macs.
Absolutely. I mean, rest in peace, though.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at least we have that, and that's kind of like our replacements. Do you know what I mean? They created, because other than that, what else? One of my favorite. Let's bring this up since we're talking about Pittsburgh. One of my favorite bands from Pittsburgh is Rusted Root. Okay. To me, they're Grateful Dead 2.0. Their Woodstock performance, I got goosebumps right now, man. Like, I just think that they were all a bunch of talented musicians. Their singer, great lyrically as well, but he has such an amazing voice. So that I off the top of my head, because we're going everywhere, but that one album would Send Me On My Way and Ecstasy. It's like a modern Grateful Dead, but they came from our city. They came from Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's almost as crazy as saying like 311. You'd think they're from California, but they're from Ohio or something. Right?
Yeah.
It's that type of feeling, and yeah. So hip hop has always just been deeply rooted in me as an attitude. Hip hop to me is punk rock. By definition.
It definitely is. It definitely has that attitude.
And that's how I treat it. It's this...
Punk rock is an attitude.
You know, and it's also hip hop.
Not an outfit.
Hip hop is just like punk rock. It's a young man's game. There's no real elder punk rockers. They usually die with a needle in their arm, or it's usually self-destruction. Is what punk rock is.
Sid Vicious.
It is that, which is a very toxic type of ideology where you're born into, I guess, shit. You're not going to get out of it, so you might as well be miserable. That's my only gripe with punk. I love the aggression and the anti-authority and trying to tear apart something to build it up again, because destruction is a form of creation. And that's what hip hop is too. Hip hop is, there was nothing, I created it. Out of nothing, and then I keep tearing it down and bringing it back up. I mentioned this once to we both worked in like the field, but we all have coworkers and stuff. But hip hop I'm sorry, my mistake. Hip hop, it creates the fads, the new things, and rock and roll is traditional. You know, so if we pull,
you're totally right about that.
Right. So if you pull from
every once in a while, like the pop punk explosion of the early 2000s, it'll create a fad and then it'll die out.
That's why the emo, like they call them the SoundCloud mumble rappers. Put that aside. Like look at like the emo rap that was like, say, Suicide Boys or XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, Lil Peep.
Yeah,
Lil
right.
Like, you know, I mean, not Lil Xan. No. We're not going to talk about that.
Lil Peep.
Yeah, we're talking about Lil Peep. That's what she.
I got you.
But that was. Anytime here, let me look. Whatever camera one, camera two. Anytime somebody makes music and it pisses off the old heads, you're doing something right.
You're doing something right. You took the words right out. Yeah.
You're doing something right, because right now you're laughed at, and then 5 to 10 years it's going to be brilliant and genius. Think about Panic in the Disco's Pretty Odd. Horrible album. I think it aged like fine wine.
The best record.
Yeah. So that goes with why would you be a part of hip hop and then go into rock roads? It's always just been ingrained to just meet these contacts. You're also trying to find a producer too. You forget about that. So, like if you don't have a band, you want to find a producer. So I just tied that
producer,
right back
a
manager, somebody who
PR,
sees you.
Publicist, someone to catapult you if you're just doing everything on your own.
And I was pretty handsome reckless back in the day.
Yeah.
I haven't aged well. But
and that's the thing too, you forget, like looking at me probably, but looking at him, 35, 36, 37, we're like in that wheelhouse of like middle-aged guys doing our thing still. We're still trying to fulfill the dream. We're still trying to, catapult it forward. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where we're still trying to do. Mm-hmm.
And why to do it now? Why do it now? I came into we all fall into like little life problems and whatnot, and some things hit different.
I'm not asking you, by the way, for the record, this is not your midlife crisis.
No, this isn't a therapy session, by the way. This is an interview. This is not a therapy session. But there's this weird thing that happened about like 4 years ago where, I don't know, it hit real weird. COVID happened. Do you know what I mean? The world kind of went at a standstill. I moved... Like my family, because I was a chef. Because if I wasn't going to do music, I was going to be a chef. Because Gordon Ramsay and Anthony Bourdain, big heroes of mine, especially Anthony Bourdain. And you know what I mean? He made
punk
me.
rocker. Yeah.
That's why it's like if I can't make music, at least you could be a rock star somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And so I made some music at the beach too. So I never stopped making music. So when I was in Ocean City, I was sending you some pretty gnarly, shitty new metal things, bits and bobs, I guess, down there. And
you're even still doing hip-hop stuff down there. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And then I just thought that would work. But when I came back to Pittsburgh, which that's where I'm meant to be, this is home base. I'm like Lou Reed with New York. The world kind of just went to like a halt. So you had like these, didn't have not much to do. And I just started playing around with this idea again. You know what I mean? Like I was writing a comic book and it was really cool. And I was a couple issues deep and some lore. And then I started playing some 4 chords, and I could, what that feeling is where you have like 50 tracks that are about 12 seconds long. And then some days you just piece them together and then it becomes a minute, then it becomes 2 minutes, it becomes 3 minutes. And then
that's exactly happened with American Idiot, is they started piecing together 30-second songs.
Right.
Their original record got stolen.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. And then they had to do it all over
again. And then, that was a thing that ended up becoming the best record. Well, one of the best records that Green ever put out. Same thing with you.
Yeah.
You started piecing together these little... Right. So was everything you did like 12 to 15 second clips, or was it like, I got a minute here, maybe I have a full song, or I got a bridge here, I got a verse here, a chorus here?
Everything, if you heard the demos, they're Frankensteins of actually abrasive transitions, you know what I mean, between them, because one's in this key and the other one's in the other key, you know what I mean, and the time signatures change and you're trying so hard to just give the idea. And then some of the songs were in a cappella, like Seal, you know what I mean, like Kiss from a Rose.
We were talking about this off camera as well. Your EP is also going to build up, I don't know if this is something you want to embargo, but it wants to build up to something that's going to be a concept album.
Yes.
So was that stuff that you were writing initially part of the concept, or were you just like fucking around and you just had some cool ideas, cool melodies, cool lyrics, and then you were like, this is telling a story?
I had one good song.
Was it an aha moment?
It was an aha moment. It was I had one good song that had balls, and I loved it. My kids loved it.
Full song.
Yes, a full song. And everybody was, and then I had it produced by a good friend of mine in Greensburg, and he's an old head, so he added some love to it. And when I heard it back, I thought to myself, like, you can't just like have one song and this is just, and you can hint and wink. The aha moment to me is kind of the Marilyn Manson with Mechanical Animals moment, where he talked to Billy Corrigan and said, don't pretend to be David Bowie. Be David Bowie.
If you're gonna do
it, just do it. Don't hint at it, and so to me, I thought, okay, you're gonna be the hero of your childhood, and what are you gonna call yourself? Jimmy Pop. Why would you call yourself Jimmy Pop? Like my two favorite. No, that's a good one though. That is a good one. Great band, by the way.
Bloodhound Gang.
Oh man. Oh, shout out. Rest in peace. I don't know if they're on hiatus or
not.
I don't know. I mean, hey,
Pennsylvania either way.
Hey, Pennsylvania boys, we got nothing but respect.
Yeah.
Even shouts out to CKY. But Jimmy Pop is a combination of Iggy Pop and Jimi Hendrix. That's why Jimmy is spelled Jimi. And this.
I honestly thought Jimmy Pop, because of Bloodhound Gang.
I mean, that would be great if I really, really, really was that big of a fan. But
or Doug satire. They're more satire.
Yeah, they're more satire.
And you're serious.
And this is a character.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And the band is kind of a gang. Like if you're gonna just do it, just don't be afraid or be held back by other people that are gonna say, "Man, you should just do the song," and it could be just this. I never thought that way. Just go for it. Just go 110%. And like I said, the comic book had this, it's like Marvel, a kind of this is kind of my Earth, you know what I mean, that's going on. So the pit is Pittsburgh. And then 600 whatever miles away is Noir, York City, which would be kind of this Judge Dredd type.
I was just going to ask if you could give me a 1-page on the back of the book synopsis of what this thing's about.
The Jimmy Pop story?
Yeah.
Absolutely. the opening song in the EP is this character coming to the realization of like this cardboard kingdom that you built out of frustration and youthful rage, you know?
As we all do in adolescence.
You know, imagine you did get what you wanted. Do you know what I mean? And you burn a city down because of they took from you. You know, the beginning of the album is hearing his love interest get shot, and him having to make a decision. Do I stay with her and get caught, or do I get in the car with my mates? You can hear it in there very, 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 very deep in the mix saying, leave her, we gotta go. So to beat the train to get into the city. So this EP is giving the current situation. It's almost like the first 15 minutes of like Akira. You know what I mean? Just you have this guy who sees a police car chasing a gang and gets on his motorcycle to beat the police car. You know what I mean? And he's the king of this city that he built, that he blew the bridges and flooded the tunnels. You know, he's the king of the city, but he's also in the bands or gangs. You know, if you make music in my world, it's kind of like sedition. You know, it's a form of protest. So if you're in a gang, you have a band that reps you.
And when you do break it down, whether anybody out there really wants to hear it, the politics of it.
Yeah.
There is that politics of it.
Yes.
Where like bands are gangs. I don't know, it's not really cutthroaty anymore, but
No.
it used to be very cutthroaty back when we were growing up in the day.
Yes.
Where it was like, you're really opening up for them. How did you get that gig? And then they would try to cutthroat you on the next show.
Everything.
I saw that a lot because I was in the band and I saw a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, definitely.
That was a big deal with us growing up, especially like before the 2010s, and even in the, you know, I think that's when the time for any type of this new wave to be of like a scene, because we had like the Fades, the Failsafe, you know, there was bands like what I think Jaded Holly or something like that.
I was just gonna say Jaded Holly.
You know what I mean? There was
Dr. Acula.
You know, Dr. Acula. There was a lot of bands at the time that could have. I don't know if was Dr. Acula from Pittsburgh.
No, but like
but I'm
Motionless
saying
and White came through here, and they're still a PA band. And
but us personally, we didn't really have the kind of upstreaming or the cosign to be on a platform to do this on a level. You know what I mean? Where it could. I mean, but then again, not everything's a hippie commune. But with this album, I was trying to get a story across of when we're kids, you know, in an attempt to purge. Hell is just a frame of mind. So you created this world that now what he's seeing in this EP is, I don't like it. And I'm in a band and deciding at the end of this EP, which is, I'm starting to lose the plot for a second, but the first two songs on there, which is the intro, which is kind of just setting up the story. Then the JIMI POP song is kind of the introduction of a main character. So you have that. You have this kind of mission statement. If I was to explain it, the lyrics are the mission statement. You know, maybe in me there's animosity. There's no better wolf than me to be litter in the breeze. You know what I mean? Like, there's things like that that explain who he is. Then Broken is going back to what kind of started this all, which is we were kids at one point. We had a voice, and we, as soon as you get the balls to do it, they put their boot on the back of your neck. You know what I mean? And then they throw you in jail. In this story, that is. You know, so...
But it also becomes the story of reality, too, whereas, you know, talking with my own personal experiences, and we've talked about this off camera, I've been texting you for days about this when we've been rekindling, is that everyone thought the Pop Punk Dad was like the dumbest thing on the planet when I first started.
Oh, never. No, oh, no.
Well,
I mean, in some type of way, but I think...
Everyone told me to stop doing it when I started doing it. Like, this is so stupid. But it's a boot on the back of the neck thing where it's like, dude, you have so many people against you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to shout out all the other magazines and online press people above you, but you have all of those to compete against. Why are you even trying this in this world?
Right.
You're just you. So don't even try. Stop. And Dude, you got a C in English. You're trying to be a writer? Come on, bro.
Right, exactly. Right. But you can't ever, like, this EP is also another way of just saying you could just do it if you want to. No matter what age.
Yes.
If you have a story, you might as well say it. And that's why this goes into more. Like, this is the EP of, hopefully, if this keeps the momentum, there'll be 4. This is just an introduction. This is just kind of the first maybe 18 to 20 minutes of a show, you know, or the first episode, you know, and then the second,
pilot.
Yes, the pilot episode. There you go. And the second EP that's currently in demo. I need to lay vocals and do my little stuff that I do. That will be the meat of the story, the real what is going on. What's going on?
Yeah.
Of the story, yeah, and be more current, because we could go off on who is who and what is what, but this is a fictional band. That's why I have to get that across too. Is that this is a story? I'm a writer. Instead of doing a comic book, I like doing this. We're fans of co-eating camera. And Mike M, I'm sure. So the idea of, I mean, what's weird about taking a comic in your head and making it in sonic format, and then see where it goes.
So you're doing like the Death Clock version of this?
Yes. This is kind of, what?
Well, Death Clock's a fictional band.
Yes. Oh, I forgot exactly. Yeah, like the Metalocalypse. Yeah, like this is kind of that. It's kind of the Gorillaz.
It's a fictional band.
Yeah.
Gorillaz.
Yeah, but that is Death Clock. That Metalocalypse. That was a great reference, because they're a band that just takes over the world.
Yeah, and
that's cool. Yeah,
they don't do. Yeah, they're not real, but like they're real in reality. But then they also make these amazing songs.
Yes.
That also,
Bloodlines is so tight.
Yeah. And they also actually tour now.
Yes.
They just toured with Baby Metal.
So, I mean, it is something that could be, but for right now, it's great that it's out there, and I can kind of get this story off the ground, because, you know, it's a part of me too. Like, this is, like I said, everything about it ties to what did I want as a kid? Like, you know, I wanted a really cool comic book, and I wanted to see a really cool band. You know what I mean?
Now, you keep talking about the comic book. Is there art along the way that's coming along with this? Are you working on that as well? Are you doing it yourself? Or are you working with artists? Or is there going to be something else? Or is that going to be a separate entity altogether? Or is that going to... so many questions all at once.
Oh, I got it.
Or is that going to come out with the full-length record once that's finally a thing?
I feel like Henry Rollins with Nardwuar just like totally just spit it out there, and I'm gonna go A, B, C. Okay,
I will take that as a compliment that you compared me to Nardwuar.
There is some artwork that I just put out, like on the IG. Shouts to the IG.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to get.
I will link up all that shit in the YouTubes. Kind
of just to see what maybe the idea is. You know what I mean? But as far as like full-fledged, you know, like the Amory Wars type, no, because before I did the album, this is why I wanted to get this all done, the demos for this album. So before the EP even started, I had a comic book, and I was 3 issues deep, and I knew that I could keep it going at a consistent annually rate, because I'm a huge fan of Watchmen, so I knew this was going to be an end-of-the-line story. Okay. I only had so many issues, but if it was a huge success, maybe I could drag it on for a year or 2 longer, you know? But when you see how much it costs, rightfully so, to have like an illustrator, somebody who does the word, like the font and wording, the color, like ink and whatnot, and these are great artists, and their time is money.
Not to mention printing.
Yeah, so when you see how much it costs to have a page done, and you're doing maybe 20 to 60 pages or of something, it adds up. I mean, it is great to do it out of your pocket and be independent. And I've always lived by, I mean, shout out to Bad Brains, like my teachers, DIY PMA. Do it yourself with a positive mental attitude. And that's how you have to do it always. So if I'm going to do it, I believe in it enough to pay out of my own pocket. You know what I mean? Most people they don't believe in themselves enough, so they want to seek out a record deal, or they want to seek out going to something to get the job. If you believe in it, sometimes if it is that strong,
you're
gonna have to put your fist to the pavement and do it and seek out those people. You know, on Reddit, Instagram, all of them. Like, they're out there. Fiverr is a great tool for that as well.
Yeah, dude.
So reach out. If you have something, do it. I want to read it.
Now, you talked about 4 records. Does this have an end, or are you talking about going back to like Coheed, which they had Star Wars, influence and stuff? You're the Black Rainbow. You're talking about prequels, anything like that? Do you have any of that idea in mind, or are we talking too far in advance right now?
I mean, I don't want to go too far because I mean, it's a weird thing. I already have a second idea in mind. It just depends on how this goes. I do want to continue this story, but in a different direction, if that makes sense. This has an end. If that answers your question, this has an end. The JIMI Pop character is over at the end of this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not saying he dies. It's just his story. He could die. It's Hollywood, baby. No, I'm joking.
Tony Stark.
Just the end of this story for that character, because I want to go into another musical direction.
Okay.
And I've always had another character in mind to play with, which I don't know if I want to talk about it because I don't know if the name's definitive enough, but I can show you later, like the ideas off camera later, and then maybe
embargo,
embargo, just in case, because it's a great opposition to the JIMI Pop character.
Yeah.
If I want to go one way with this story, because if this is I mean, let's be real. I was thinking about it the other day after obsessing over this for so long, because you just listen to this song or you listen to your music and then you write this story and it just lives in your head rent free. This person is technically a terrorist. He's like V, like for Vendetta. So if you identify with him, you're identifying with Rorschach from Watchmen. You're identifying with V for Vendetta.
Joker.
You kind of are, you know what I mean, identifying with somebody who just is an anti-hero to an extent, but he's if you blow the bridges and you flood the tunnels, you're a terrorist, you are a villain in some way, shape, or form. But I do want, if this is a rock and roll, I can say this though. If this is a true blue rock and roll album, and I'm inspired by Iron Maiden and Motorhead and Iggy Pop and the Libertines and all this, right? If I was to do something next, it would be very pop sensibility.
Okay.
It would be very, because we were just talking off camera before this, our love for The Cure. And The Cure, they just always evolved. You know, there's what phase of The Cure, like, I actually judge people on what kind of fan they are. Are you the post-punk fans? Are you know what I mean? Are you the goth ones? Are you the 80s pop kind of Cure fans? You know what I mean? Or are you, we were talking about, we came during Blood Flowers.
Yeah.
And also Wish was in 94, I think. So we got 2 great albums in our lifetime as well. So what era did you find them defines you as a Cure fan, I think, as well. And if this is a rock and roll album, I want to go into my Love Cats era. You know what I mean? I want to have that 80s feel. I want my GTA Vice City. If I was playing Grand Theft Auto 3, we're going to Vice City next.
I got you. No, not jumping into San Andreas. You're going to jump into Vice City before you go into San Andreas.
I want to... I can talk about a little bit of it, though. I mean, I know what ideas there are, because I have everything kind of planned out. I know that I don't know anything more than album 2. So while I have this kind of already mapped out, I knew that this is going to end, and I would end it with 2. It's weird, because I was thinking about it too. Gerard kind of thought about it that way. He only got to like the Black Parade and didn't know what to do after that.
Yeah.
You know? And then after that, it was kind of confusing. And I love Danger Days. That's one of my favorite records. But he did say when I had the first album out, I knew what the follow-up was going to be called. So when I had JIMI Pop and the Steel City Rollers, I already knew that it was going to be called X, Y, and Z. I almost said it. but I already knew that it was going to be called this because it is a yin to a yang of, oh, if it's this, and this is rock and roll, I'm going to go, this would be a neon horror movie. You know what I mean? If this is the black metal scene in Norway, then the next album is the scene, or the rave kids in the early 90s. You know what I mean?
I got it.
Like two different types of youth in revolt, but one is more neon and drug laden and
one's darker
like,
and one's more.
Yeah, like one's and I wanted to play with the idea of one's black and white and one's color.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta ask, because we both have kids, how much does writing, opposed to before, affect your writing ability? Because, you know, before it was like sex, drugs, rock and roll. Let's just straight up write about having sex with girls, all this shit, and then you have kids, and it's not like we're exactly writing about fucking Bluey and the Teletubbies and changing diapers, but
right.
But it's got to be, you got to have.
There's a lot of complicated lyrics that we
right,
we had
and there's double
day.
entendre.
You know what I mean? I think I credit probably 95% to them now, because I'm in my Shel Silverstein era. Do you know what I mean? Like I would love to write. I'm not there yet, but I jumped the gun there. But I would love to be at my Shel Silverstein era. But I am in my own way, where the kids influence kind of everything. These were their songs before they were released, and they're the reason they're out. Is they liked these ones out of the myriad of other ones, because there's 20 something songs that I have, but I only have certain songs for certain things, and these are the ones they picked. They took it from just Daddy being mopey on a song, and this is what created the fantastical. They're the reason why I always put my head back into the comic books, why I go back into the video games. You know what I mean? Video game soundtracks are what I'm inspired by with this record as well, like Streets of Rage. That soundtrack. Oh my god,
dude!
Like
Sonic.
Yeah, I mean all of that. And I just referenced Grand Theft Auto, but like they have their own soundtracks. That they had their own licensed music too. So I was thinking of something other than Streets of Rage. Man, I was jamming out to it too. I mean, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. I mean, Spyro, the guy from the Police, the drummer from the Police, did that soundtrack. So,
if I'm not mistaken, Sonic was done by Michael Jackson on something. I could be wrong.
No, I think Sonic is inspired by Michael. Maybe, I don't know. We're going off kilter here, but
Michael Jackson did some Sonic stuff. I could be wrong, but Google it later. Whoever the fuck's watching out there.
But the kids inspire everything. They take it from just being a couple songs to now this is kind of a story, and they like the characters, and if they don't like it, I ditch the idea, and it's usually the right fit. It's kind of, you have the best and worst critic. Because we're our own critic, but them, sometimes they see it and they think, Daddy, that guy looks really cool with that mask.
Right.
And then you just go, okay, that's a lock. I'm gonna play with that. But yeah, just keeping it fantastical is where the kids.
I was also telling you off camera. I have a friend. His name's Joe. He's in a band called Patent Pending, and he puts demos on in the car. He used to. I interviewed him a couple years ago. He let his kids listen to songs, and one of the things is he would put the songs on, and if the kids thought they sucked, he'd be like, next.
Yes, yeah, I remember
next.
that.
Next. And then if they liked it, he'd be like, play it again. And then he would send that song in to whatever record company. That song would be the fucking song that the company would choose. But he would also test it against the two other songs that the kids thought sucked.
Yeah.
And those ones would also, the company wouldn't pick. So kids are also a good filter. Because
if a 6-year-old likes it, then a 16-year-old's going to like it.
Yeah.
Because a 36-year-old's going to like it. Because we all have that kind of quick, we have
TikTok mentality.
That instant gratification mentality. So if they like it, then it's going to be a bop, pretty much.
Now, we are old heads. Follow up on that. We are old heads, and we do kind of have that like melancholy. I do like to have like a build up to things. Mm-hmm. I do like to, write a long intro to things. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
But we also like to have that boom, instant gratification. We like to grab the audience real quick. Where are you at when it stands to that? Because some songs can be 3 minutes, some songs can be 5 minutes, other songs, Iron Maiden and stuff, could be like 9 minutes long, 10 minutes long. Where do you stand when it comes to that, and how do you find yourself writing when it comes to that kind of stuff?
I really want to try and keep it as short and sweet as possible. Like I mean, in my head, these are the Jimmy Pop track without the little intro with the motorcycle and everything. It's a rock and roll pop song. You know what I mean? It's got a verse, chorus, verse, you know, a structure. It's got a hook, basically. And I want to keep it in that type of way. You could be Steve Vai or Yngwie Malmsteen all you want.
Yeah.
Or you could be Billy Joel or Billy Joel, I'm sorry, Joe
Armstrong,
and Kurt.
Yeah,
you know
you're
what I mean?
right.
Are you a songwriter? I mean, you could be a great musician, but I can't walk up to you and go, do you know that song that was diddle 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 diddle? That jam?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to know
Or do you know
one
Smells Like Teen
baby
Spirit?
to another says,
Right.
you know, it's easier
For me to hum the song.
Yes. And that's what you want, is you want to write a good, I mean, we want to be great musicians and artists, but at the end of the day, we're trying to write good songs.
Right. Do you want
right?
the Zack Snyder 6-hour cut of the movie?
Right.
Or do you want the short, sweet, and I tell the story?
Yes, I'm really good. I'm
For
really good with
people
that.
that don't know that reference, there's a 6-hour cut of the Justice League movie. And if
so
you
many
love
piss
the
breaks.
Justice League movie, that's great for you. But if you just want it from front to back, it's 2 hours long.
Oof.
So I watched the 6-hour version.
It's great.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was
Yeah.
rough. I had to get up a couple times.
Yeah,
I mean, we
it's
have lives.
Yeah, 3 or 4 piss
Zach, we
breaks.
have lives
We
here.
gotta eat. We gotta eat. We gotta pee.
We have lives here.
Yeah, I gotta go to work.
But I wanted to be riding this wave because it is a story. I set you up with the introduction or the back of a cover of something. Now we're gonna get into here, and I'm bop bop bop. And the third EP is let's take a breath, let's pull back for a second and get into some ballads and some more of those type of arrangements that are like I jokingly say the loaded album. Because it's just loaded with the hits, the ballads, because there is a love triangle that's happening too. But, and then end it with that nice hate, because we were talking about him earlier, so now I'm saying it's going to end with a bang and a whimper, right? So that would be the last EP. But I want that kind of, it not being so long of songs, but it's a story. So creating it with the EPs, having it already in the mix, if I finish it whenever it's album format, it could be in interludes. And I could clip it more. So you can just have it more of like a single, just the songs without the interludes or outerludes. But for right now, I'm not getting paid for this. So you're getting it like a cassette or a vinyl record.
Right.
Front to back, raw. I could have just made it one song that's 18 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm doing you a favor.
And you do
enjoy.
You do
the
talk.
noise.
You do talk EP for every record. Every record is going to be in an EP around 5 or 6 songs each to tell the story.
Yes, trying to stay within not so much songs, but in a time span. Because if I go past a certain time, I might as well just give you an LP. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and this is a double disc album is hit or miss with me, and I don't want to do hot takes here.
Yeah.
So 2 disc records are hit or miss. They could be brilliant or they could be dumpster fires, complete dumpster fires. So I wanted to just have one record and it be long. It might be a 2 disc with how long it might be in length with times, but for right now it just feels okay in my brain that I'm not going overboard.
Was that your conscious decision to just make it that way?
Yeah, because we're both fans of comic books. So
Okay.
this is episodic. It's an EP, musically, it's a double entendre. So it's an EP, but it's also like episode or issue.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Each-
It's issue 1, issue 2, or episode 1, episode 2, instead of extended play or whatever. I get humor out of like there's so many jokes in this to me that I laugh about. But one day, whenever people pick up on it, we can all have a laugh together.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Now, moving forward, would you, in the next project you're talking about, and this is going way forward, would you consider an LP where every single song would be three minutes above, and it would be like a 12-song record possibly telling a story, possibly not. But would it be a full-length record, like a full-length record itself?
I have songs that don't fit, like, because there's so many. Oh my god, it's like AFI or any of these type of bands that we really love, where you put everything into. So you have like, I look at songs like not how great they are, but how sucky they are, and then that does my process of elimination. So the ones that I need to give more love to, that I have, they're great, but they're not hitting. And they don't belong in the story. Okay. Those are more of songs that I'd like to do in between the two kind of concepts, which would be more of a JS album. You know what I mean? My own record, my own James Spiker record, where there are lyrics that are about not so much a story, but my life. You know what I mean? And feelings about fatherhood, about growing up in the beginning of the Rust Belt.
Not to demean that or downplay, but would you consider that a B-sides or something completely different?
I think that they're their own beasts. Okay. They're their own emotion. They're their own feelings. All my songs are kind of like, they're like kids. You know what I mean? Some of them just aren't working out right now. And then this is working out lyrically because the music's there. But sometimes I don't like the lyrics that go to the music, or sometimes I don't like the arrangement that would go with the lyrics that I want. But you want it to be concise in what you're saying. And each song, I feel like they would be kind of, I guess, a roundabout way. They are B-sides, huh?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Good call.
And also, you talk about writing and singing on stuff. Who has been contributing to, also playing as well as producing and spitting out this stuff as well? Any shout outs to any of those people on this record that you've been doing?
That's current?
Yes. And also moving forward. I mean, I don't want to say moving forward because I don't want to have anything possibly fall through.
I've just always been inspired by like people like a big fan of Pete Doherty. Okay. Like the Libertines. He's like the Iggy Pop of our generation. Mm-hmm. And even when he got out when there wasn't the Libertines, he had Baby Shambles and then he had just himself and now the Puta Madres. He's always just making music and never stopping, even if it makes him like kind of a folk hero. Mm. There are YouTube, as far as like YouTube people, we got like, I'm a big fan of a contributing factor of like how actually goes into the writing of this. This is great. I shout out to Finn McKenty, the punk rock MBA. His, not so much him critiquing bands, but his sociological and psychological analysis of scenes and the business of music is great. It's very refreshing. Somebody needs to rip the Band-Aid off of it, and just say it for what it is, as a culture, because we need to progress the culture forward with music, because now that we have this at our fingertips, it's time to get some rain in on here. You know what I mean? And some, not say control, like going back to the dark ages of record labels, but we need to get something here of a cultural thing, and understanding what the past was, where it is now, and how can we make it better. Everything else is just like, there's so many funny reaction people that are like, if I was to do something hip hop, I do have a hip hop track. I talked about you with that. There was a reaction because I'm a big hip hop head. So the Kendrick and Drake beef has been life.
Oh man, dude.
Cat Williams, you know what you did. You know what you did. You opened Pandora's box, man. And then there's this fuck you energy in the air that can't be brought back.
I'm not even editing this out. It's going to be on my channel.
It can't be put back in.
It's right on my channel.
So I love the energy of that. So watching reaction videos of people reacting to songs as they were coming out. Right. A shout out to Screwface. He has amazing music. He has great YouTube videos of him reacting. If I was to do a hook for you, I would love to do that. At the end of the day, this is, my dreams will never come true because I'll never play CBGB. Do you know what I mean? Those are things I wanted when I was a kid. I'll never play that.
Civic
I
Arena.
don't mean to down Civic Arena. I don't want to downplay myself, but I'm not selling out the Forum. So the best thing that is great for music culture is to create relationships with other people and other artists that can relate to you, that you want to just do stuff with, you know. And this is just music. I have other IPs, you know, the comic book, you know. I've reached out to Kevin Smith about movie ideas.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, you got to message me back. Single dad working in a hospital. There's a lot of funny things that happen as a nurse. Okay.
Yeah. I've been shit on so many times.
I mean, dude.
Literally.
I've cleaned a dead man and didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the funny things. These are the things that make life worth living. So, but I don't know if this could be forever. But for right now, this feels great. You know. Shouts to Villabella. This is a quote when I was a kid. This is therapy. Music is therapy for me. And it still is. So if I feel better that I got it out there, and also shout out to Tyler, the Creator, too. If you just feel so passionate about something, why have it just be like a secret playlist in your car? Share it. Let the world see it. Do you know what I mean? Somebody might like it. And it might inspire somebody else to want to do it, too.
Shout out to your playlist, by the way. You have a playlist that you shared to me, which has fucking everything on there, from Billy Strings to Bjork to him. You have to share to the world. It's the inspiration to the EP.
I think the first track is MIA. Like, you know what I mean? So we're just hitting you. We're just hitting you straight up.
Everything on there. Are these songs that you corrugated throughout the years? Is this stuff that you were just listening to randomly in the car? How did you come up with this? Some
are songs that I liked growing up. They're always in the back of my head.
You're not going to understand this You're not going to understand this playlist. I was biting my lip. Sorry.
Link will be in the description, probably.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're not going to understand this playlist until I link it. So just go look at the damn thing. So back to what you were saying.
Some of the songs are ones that I've liked, like, always. And then whenever you're making music, you're hearing things that are just coming on shuffle on Spotify.
Right.
And you hear and go, wow, that's cool. Like, Bjork is in the playlist. Like, the song Army of One has this amazing boom, like when the drum, I don't know if that's the kick or snare, but the way the snare and the kick drum hits with an 808, I think, I'm not sure.
It could be even a full tom.
Just the way that it feels like the momentum of the song without Bjork singing, it just feels like the toughest walk, as if you're walking down somebody.
You got Alexis
know what I mean?
on Fire in there.
Because, I mean, that song in itself, I think, is a big deal for us when we were growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This town could be anywhere. Like,
Huge
I mean, it really
for
is.
me, because I shot for them.
Yeah.
With,
you're from Canada, right?
Yeah, and they came a few months ago with Asking Alexandria. Shout out.
Shout out, A.
Yeah, so, I mean,
it has everything that, if something came on, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Sometimes, like, the lyrics in the song, the way it goes in, you end up pseudo-paraphrasing in your own way, like an idea. Not taking someone's lyrics, but just like you'll hear a song and then the way that song made you feel is like one bar of, you know what I mean? Like
of something
you want to write. Yeah. So you could just, instead of saying, I really like this song, you can write this swift metaphor of how it made you feel,
Right.
So those songs are in there as well. It's a lot of like attitude based. It's just, if this is a world in its own, these are kind of songs that they would have on the radio. If I was the DJ, I would play these. That would be what would be going on while you're just driving and shooting people on the road.
If you were the GTA VJ.
Yeah, like more post, like that game, like Mad Max. Right. Things like that. Like Judge Dredd. That's
State of Emergency.
Yeah, those are big influences, is the comic book and video game aspect of things. Like The Warriors, I almost wore that shirt today. It's one of my favorite movies. So you have that, you have like Streets of Rage, Mad Max, all those type of, Judge Dredd. That Dredd was a big deal growing up as well. Sin City, Batman, because Frank Miller's run, he had more of a post-apocalyptic feel. of that type of Gotham City. And I mean, the Batmobile was a tank, dude. So just staying in that type of, in this post-apocalyptic type world where even, oh wait, there's a great intersection right here. Did you, in video games, did you see the Twisted Metal show? On Peacock?
No.
Not Peacock. Cock.
Yeah.
No, yeah. No, that show is great. As a fan of the video game series, I feel like my songs should be in, I think about it as, these songs should be in a Twisted Metal game. You know what I mean? That makes it way easier of trying to figure out. Instead of GTA, I think it makes more sense of like, I'm trying to rub elbows with Rob Zombie in like the car stereo for, you know, Twisted Metal. Like we're kind of in between the knobs.
Samoa Joe was the...
Oh, dude, it's so great.
Yeah.
That show, insane. I mean, there is, like anything, there's some parts where things wean, but as far as a show goes, I liked it. I'm hoping, I think that they have a season 2. If they don't, I'll riot, because I want to see some Mr. Grimm. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Like, at the end of the day, I think that's something that you and I could both agree is that we're just big nerds.
We can't panoramic a view around, but like the whole living room that we're in right now is my house, and this is, you know, it's pretty ridiculous. I have a bat cave of, you know, toys and shit, so I can definitely...
You can attest.
Identify with everything that's... everything you're saying. Finally, plug everything that's going on. Right now, as far as I know, you don't have any shows coming up.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. You don't plan on... Do you plan on doing anything live eventually?
Yes.
Do you plan on getting a live band, or is it backing track, sort of hip-hop-y?
That's always been like, you know, talking
Getting
to
a
like friends
drummer.
and like talking to like friends and producers about that type of dancing around with that idea. Is, do you do it the Gorillaz way where you just have something behind you like a curtain and you have something playing?
Right.
Do you have that and have it backtracking? Or do you find a couple mates that you can hire as guns? You know, it's in the air right now, but also at the same time, I'd like to have at least the second EP out before I do that, so that way there's more material to play live. It makes it worth your time to see, because I've been in conversations with a lot of special effects artists as well to get the actual JIMI POP Reelin' Rat helmet, which, by the way, Deadmau5 cannot sue me on that one, because it painstakingly thought of ways to not get sued, just to have, so I can have a helmet that looks like a thing.
When I was in Skyline,
Disney and Disney and Deadmau5, 2 Ds. Don't want to get copyright slammed with that. But I would like to play live with the in mind some of the cool things that are in the story to play live. Not everybody dress up in a concept, you know, in like a costume, but something that makes you want to come and see the show, especially with material and a band. I would like to do a band more so than anything, but we'll just have to see how it goes. This is my first outing, because everything has just been making music or just writing. I would like to get a book of poetry out. That's always been the big thing, but I was going to get it published. I'm thinking of doing it independent now. Get the clothing line, which all these characters in this concept are wearing designs that I made, so it'd be kind of cool if you could wear it.
Yeah.
And I had a clothing line for a minute, but that was more athletic. I was doing that just because I was going to the gym while editing this record. So I thought, why don't I do that, like The Rock? But I'm going to get that up. So that would be the merchandising for anything JS, whether it be the album or just solo stuff. And as far as future endeavors, stay tuned, I guess. There really is nothing other than music and maybe some cool art and some antics. I don't know. Maybe I'll start being a clown on TikTok and make money.
Yeah.
Show my butthole and get paid only. Maybe, you know, but no, that if only. But no, I think it would be great as if we'll probably link up again. It'd be great to talk about music with you, man. That would be a great thing.
I've talked about getting the podcast back up. I mean, we have a lot of interest going, moving forward with like him, AFI, The Cure, a lot of these bands. and not this related, but also separately related, and us and going.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to just. This is a great way to get out, and I can get on just a couple of maybe some podcasts to talk about things like a solo issue, like just one topic, rather than you being so gracious in interviewing. Maybe like I just talk about one thing and just hammer that out, But especially with music, I could talk about it for hours. We were talking about that before. We can't talk about bands too much, especially inspiration, because we'll just go off about our love for just how this band inspired us and how this goes to this.
I wore the shirt today. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday. Which talk about that too. Their record. Shout out to AFI. Last year they put out the Sing the Sorrow. Was it 25 years? I think
20 or 25.
Which
old,
right? I got that. I received that as a gift, and everything about it was. I mean, it was great. I mean, it had this candle, which I would like to, that's what I'd like to do on a podcast. I would like to burn it or, and just let it melt and see if there's something in there, because I know they're going to be really cryptic and there might be something in there.
QR code or some shit.
Something, and I don't know about it, but I was more so interested in
Is it silver?
It's probably it's a black candle.
Oh, fuck.
And I was more so, I was geeking out at they had the singles of like Now in the World, 337, basically the pre-album that was out when they did that Clyde Eston video. And that whole, that's the other thing too. It's like their like packaging was so great. Bands should pay more attention to how they're giving their product out, especially if it's
NoFX is Ribbed. NoFX has an album called Ribbed.
Yes.
The Ribbed album is in a condom wrapper. Ribbed condoms.
For her pleasure. That is great.
Fucking amazing. The perfect. The perfect.
That's cheeky. That's cheeky. Okay, that's funny.
So, packaging.
Yep. And product right now, I'm doing this independent. So, packaging is right now just the media and see where it goes. Because at the end of this, all I want to do, I have talks with Nashville at Third Man Records. It's the one with Jack White owns. I've been shouting emails with them that when this is over, to put it out as a vinyl.
Okay.
And then just do, you could either, I could have it either as just one record or just nice sleeves of all of them, nice maxi singles. That'd be really cool. Just call it a day, and you can have all this artwork and the lore and everything like that. But I'm just focused on that and getting on other people's radar and talking with them, and
hopefully this helps out. Where can everyone find you? And that's the last I got for you.
Where can they find me? I don't know. I mean, in the world, you can find me. Maybe a grocery store.
On
the best way is I have a very limited social media right now. So I can get everything curated perfectly. So the only place right now, it would be Instagram at the official James Spiker. And
I'll link that for you.
I can obviously, whenever I get the TikTokies going. But you can also find me on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Look up JIMI Pop and the Steel City Rollers, JIMI. Obviously, that's the algorithm's got to get used to that. But any form of music, you could find me. You can even use me now. You can use me. You can use me now. And any of your clips, or if you just feel like doing some dumb shit and want to just link up my song to it, rock and roll it.
Theo Vaughn, get this man. Yo, this has been the Pop Punk Dad with JS, aka Spiker.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, Braxton.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.